Hey friends, this is the reading lesson for second grade. You need your booklets open to page 8 and you need a pencil and a highlighter. We are going to read about another fascinating invention that came about by accident. All right, so this story is actually very short. It's only these 2 paragraphs on these 2 pages, but there is a ton of information. So we are going to read 1 paragraph at a time and highlight what we find to be important to the process of this invention. All right, here we go.
Short Read 2. Remember to annotate as you read.
A lucky accident. Some scientists work for years hoping to invent something, but never doing so. Others invent things when they're not even trying. George de Mestral found his invention by accident. After walking outdoors, George's overcoat and his dog's fur were covered in prickly plants called burrs. George wondered what made their grip so strong. He looked closely. He noticed tiny hooks on the burrs.
All right, so we're going to stop right there. You can see in the picture below that this is a picture of the burrs, and then you can see how they stick to the dog. And I'm sure you've seen these outside before. But then I like this part right here because it shows a close-up of the burrs, and you can see, just like George saw, there are tiny little hooks on the edge. So let's do some highlighting just to kind of set the stage of this invention, because we don't exactly know what the invention is yet, unless you've looked a little ahead at the picture on the next page. So we know that George de Menstral, whoops, I don't like my highlighter that big, that he found his invention by accident. I think that's pretty important to note, right? So if you have that brain like an inventor, you're constantly thinking of how to make things better, right? And how to make new things. So he probably had that brain, but his invention just came by accident because he saw some kind of problem that happened, right? So we know that his dog's fur and his overcoat were covered in prickly plants called burrs. So then he started to wonder, why do these stick so much? Why are they so hard to get off? And he noticed some tiny hooks. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and keep reading.
Burrs. The hook and loop fabric stops everything on this astronaut's tray from floating in midair. Hook and loop.
George found that those hooks caught on anything with loops, such as fabric or cloth and fur. That hook and loop discovery became famous. Zippers, shoelaces, and snaps can be hard for the very young and people with disabilities to use. But almost everyone can press and pull this sticky fabric. Astronauts even use it to hold down stuff in space.
All right, so that's what this is a picture of. And in this story, it's called the hook and loop fabric, but we know it as Velcro, but it wasn't called Velcro quite yet. So George realized that these little hooks could get caught on anything, such as fabric, cloth, or fur, right? And they could be used in place of zippers, shoelaces, and snaps. And that's really important because young children and people with disabilities might have a hard time with that. Even older people, it might be hard for them to do zippers or snaps or shoelaces, but Velcro can be done, or sorry, hook and loop fabric can be done by almost anyone. And I think it's super fascinating that astronauts started to use it. So just another invention that kind of happened by accident, but since George was such a critical thinker, he thought, what is causing this? Now, Mrs. Peterson does not have the brain of an inventor. So if that would have gotten on my dog, I just pull him out and move on, right? But we're so lucky that George didn't do that. Okay, so we're going to write a main idea. I'm going to start it with you, and then I'm going to have you finish it. So we'll write it on page 9. So put your highlighters away, grab your pencils, and let's go ahead. So we'll start by saying his name. So George Day, and the D is not capitalized in day. Mestral. And we'll give it, oops, I spelled his name wrong, an apostrophe S, because we are talking about the invention that he owns. Invention of the hook and loop. Whoops. So those have dashes in them. Fabric helped all people, comma, including, and here's where you are going to finish. Oh my goodness gracious. This biography talked about 3 different groups of people that this fabric helped. I mentioned a 4th, so you can also add that in with yours. But you need to tell me the 3 different groups of people that it helped specifically, that it talks about in paragraph 2. When you are done writing that, you're going to read me or type out your main idea on Canvas. All right, friends, pretty quick lesson, but you guys did a great job. I'll see you later.